And Jamie, we're going to keep you in the loop now because this is a story that a lot of people are talking about. The warmest November that we have had on record.
And a lot of spots,
In a lot of places.
Yeah.
And we're going to send it out to the Orlando Sentinel as well because Beth also has someone there to talk a little bit more about this, about these warm numbers. And of course, that we just also had, this record stretch of 10 years without a hurricane. That was the big story of yesterday. That was nice to see. But let's talk November. Hi, Beth.
Hey, Amy. So yeah, warmest November in some pockets of Central Florida, really ever. I've got Kevin Spear, our environmental reporter. And so, Kevin, I guess this is really a record for East Central Florida. Is that right?
Yeah, the overall area of East Central Florida. It is the second warmest November for the city of Orlando on record, which goes back to the 1890s.
So, in over a century then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good bit. Yeah.
And so now, so what does this mean? What's the takeaway here? I can't help but notice that we do have some very prominent world leaders in Paris this week discussing climate change.
Exactly. Yeah, well, what it all means, that's the big question. And I do cover environment. I'm not the weather guy here. You guys out there cover the heck out of the weather. But it's interesting because we've seen a rise in temperatures over the past century. And over the past 20 or 30 years, there's been much debate about what to do about it. Not much has been resolved internationally, and now there's this big gathering of 200 nations with the United Nations in Paris right now to come up with some kind of agreement for how to go forward and keep global temperatures from rising as much as what people fear.
And there seems to be a focus certainly on reducing emissions, right?
Correct,
so,
yeah.
Perhaps looking at less coal, less natural gas, more solar, more wind.
Automobiles and so forth, yeah. And there are other greenhouse gases. It is an interesting time to have this conference right now. I think that the attitude would be a lot different if we were paying $5 for a gallon of gas. Right now we're dipping under $2.
Right.
So we're not hearing drill baby drill, which is probably conducive to talks in Paris.
Yeah, yeah. And there's not, that public outcry.
Exactly.
So,
right.
well, that's interesting. So, yeah, Amy, and I mean, just hearing Jamie just now, looks like, a warm start to December as well.
Well, I tie it all to cold fronts that don't have enough oomph, enough punch to get through the peninsula, and blocking high pressure over the Atlantic. And once we break this general pattern down, then we bring in stronger fronts, and we see low pressure move across. What concerns us now as we ramp up into the winter, not only more frequent outbreaks of colder weather through the southeast, but the potential for severe weather and tornadic conditions existing here because of the warm environment that we've already got in place. And once temperatures are up and you get a strong front moving in, that's when you have these outbreaks of very strong storms, and that's tied to an increase in tornadic activity. Not good.
We don't want that. No tornadoes. Well, we've seen some nasty ones. It's funny because people don't think of Florida as having a lot of tornadoes, and for those of us who've lived here for a while, we know how very real and dangerous the threat is.
Yeah, and the frequency is actually quite high. We see many more tornadoes in, say, certain portions of the Midwest or even the Central Plains, and while they're not long-lasting, long-track damaging tornadoes, they're spin-ups, and they are indicated on Doppler radar, so we do count those sometimes, and the numbers can be quite large.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Jane.